Good evening, Mr. Toastmaster, members, and guests. Many people are of the opinion that the teachings of the Bible are outdated, contradictory, full of scientific and historical error. Yet many people come to those conclusions from second or third-hand sources rather than their own research of the Bible. How many of us have wondered, are these really manuscripts from a long time ago? Are they the same as they were when they were written? Tonight I want to share with you 3 points of evidence to help you have an informed decision whether these documents are truly the same as they were when they were written years ago. The first one is the bibliographic test. And that test is what the documents, the manuscripts themselves, what were the quality and the quantity of these documents. They were recorded many, many years ago, hundreds of years ago, by Israelite scribes. Meticulously, these scribes copied every letter, every word, and every line. They were all counted. If there was one single mistake in the manuscript, the whole manuscript was destroyed. Often it was buried. The manuscripts that decayed, they too would be buried. But the Hebrew people, the Israelites, kept these collections. Some were fragmented, some did not hold together very well. The New Testament, even though the Old Testament may have been excellent, the New Testament had even greater percentage of correctness. The copies in the manuscripts were 99.5% correct. There were 5,000 Greek manuscript copies, 8,000 in Latin, and 1,000 in many different languages, all being very similar in meaning and purpose. But one thing that is truly kind of confirms the point that the quality of these manuscripts was very well preserved was in 1940s and 1950s, some people discovered the Dead Sea Scrolls, which you may have been very familiar and heard of. These scrolls, these documents, the age of those manuscripts were from 200 BC. Those copies were very similar to the copies that we had contained from 900 AD. So that's the bibliographic test. It kind of proves that the quality, the quantity of those manuscripts were very excellent. They were the quintessential of all ancient literature. The second test is the internal test. This is what the Bible claims, the authors themselves claimed themselves from the writings. Many of the Hebrew writers in the Old Testament, they were eyewitnesses of what occurred. Jeremiah eyewitnessed things that Ezekiel wrote about. Many of them were prophets. They gave predictions. Of course, the Bible is prophecy. And so their predictions, like Jeremiah and Isaiah, predicted that the Israelite people would have to leave Israel, taken into captivity by the Babylonians, and Jerusalem would be destroyed. But they would return in 70 years. Well, these things actually happened. Samuel recorded those in Chronicles, and Ezra recorded that. So we can see that the Hebrews kept an accurate record of the prophecies that were fulfilled. There were also around 322 prophecies of Jesus, and some of those were predicted in the Old Testament. Micah predicted that Jesus would be born in Bethlehem, and Zechariah predicted that he would be sold with 30 silver coins. So some of these were recorded in the New Testament, and many of the New Testament authors, they were eyewitnesses. They said, we were eyewitnesses to Jesus and his claims. Luke was a doctor. He did not see Jesus himself, but he did go back and research. He wanted to give an accurate account of what he had seen in the Bible through the Bible stories to his friend, Theophilus. So some of these authors were just writing friends to give them an accurate view of what had occurred. So that is the internal test. Now, one thing that totally kind of seals it, the point of being internal and that this document might be very accurate, is when those scrolls were found, and the Dead Sea Scrolls, The New Testament, the copies were written in 47 to 70 AD. And these copies could not have been later. They were not produced later. The people were still alive who were eyewitnesses of these accounts. And if they had been produced and multiplied out among the people, I think a big uprising would have occurred that these claims were false and just blatant fabrications of the man Jesus. The third test is the external test. And the external evidence is given by location, dates, mountains, rivers, sites that I personally have gone to see in Israel. I visited there, and there are, the cities are where they say they are. The rivers are where they say they are. The mountains are the names of the mountains. But also, I think that the recordings of what's in the Bible can be validated by other historians. We look at the books of Caesar and Augustus, and Josephus was another secular historian. And those places are very valid that are recorded in the Bible. He does discuss the man Jesus. He talks about Jesus being a man of wonders, that he was crucified by Pilate, and that his brother James was a martyr for him. So the three tests, the bibliographic test, testing the quantity and the quality of the manuscript, the internal test, what the authors claim themselves, what they were eyewitnesses of, and the prophecies that were fulfilled, and the external evidence do make us feel like this is a very trustworthy and reliable ancient document. More than any other, statistics say other authors, Aristotle and Plato, their copies of their manuscripts are from 1 to 20. This manuscript of this document, we have thousands of them. So one important point too that I think makes me feel really confident that it is trustworthy are the authors who wrote this book. Many of them died as martyrs, gave up their life because they felt like this was truth. So I want to ask you, if you had to choose whether this was a great Toastmasters club or your life, would you stick by your belief in something? So to me, that's a strong statement. I hope that I informed you tonight. I would love for you to just continue to ponder and research on your own. And if you do find this to be true, I encourage you to read it.